technology expert David McClelland. And you can contact us in the usual way. Tomorrow we'll see you again. Bye. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Off to County Durham and Kent. Homes Under the Hammer, next on BBC One.
Oh, it's scandal time again, and a spokesperson has been dodging questions and pleading ignorance all day. Finally, he goes on Newsnight. Does he, A, rigidly stick to the party line, B, blame someone else, C, beg for forgiveness through the power of song, or something else entirely? Newsnight, anything can happen.
My son was taken.
It's been 8 years now.
What are the chances of finding him alive?
There's nothing else there. No proof, no evidence.
I found something. I don't need you. I don't need them. I'll finish this myself.
The Missing starts Tuesday at 9 on BBC One.
Pack your bags.
So where are we off to?
And join Len Goodman on a trip down memory lane.
It's just as I remember.
Welcome to 1959.
Relive the sights and sounds
Yummy.
of summers gone by.
You know, Len, I'm quite enjoying being on my holidays with you.
Holiday of my lifetime. Today at 3:45 on BBC One.
The path through life is full of danger. Do what you must to survive. Respect your enemies, but when you have to, fight. The next generation are your legacy. Keep them safe, whatever it takes. Many lives, one epic journey. Life Story starts tonight at 9 on BBC One.
Working with locals to clear up the mess left by fly tippers. Call the councils in an hour on BBC One. First, more property bargains with Lucy and Martin.
Hello and welcome to the show. Now, the thing about property developing is that there's projects out there to suit everyone.
Yes, they don't need to be too complicated or even expensive unless that's what you want.
No, and the likelihood is you'll be under a wide range of buyers looking for a bargain. Let's see where the bids landed on today's programme.
First up in London's Harlesden, a hammer rule is broken. Did you get a damp survey done?
I didn't, no.
Oops.
In Stanley in County Durham, how does your garden grow?
Stretching all the way back to a greenhouse. Bonus.
And in Ramsgate, Kent, let's call Plan B a backup.
So, guys, worst case scenario, what are you going to do with that plot?
Flatten it, turf it, and have a lovely summer garden.
All of these properties have been sold at auction, and we'll find out who bought them and what they paid for them when they went under the hammer.
Your lot, sir.
We're in Harlesden, NW10. It's got good transport links to central London and has Willesden Green on its doorstep. It really is well situated, yet it offers property prices that are less eye-watering than its more affluent neighbours.
This seems like a nice, quiet street, and it is literally a short walk from the train station, which also makes it very convenient. Well, I'm here today to see a two-bedroom flat. It had a guide price of £210,000, and it's in this lovely Victorian property. Now, I've got my fingers crossed there is some character features left inside. I shall investigate.
While the outside is definitely a little unusual in shape, our flat is on the first floor and comes with a reasonably healthy 99-year lease and a ground rent of £250 per annum.
Entering into this flat feels cold, smells damp, and feels moist. So, straight away, not ideal, but it feels spacious. You've got this lovely ceiling height. You've got a bathroom and a loo here. Now, straight away, I would be putting a wall there and opening this up into one big luxury nice bathroom. It will make such a difference. At the moment, you've got a pokey toilet and a pokey bathroom, but look at this. There is character. I do love one of these round walls. Get rid of this wood chip and you've got character. This is a nice big Victorian building. So we've got a bedroom, a kitchen, which we'll come back to in a little while. But look at this for a rather spectacular lounge. Now, okay, there's obviously damp problems down here. People have had the floorboards up. You'd need to investigate further. But you've got fabulous windows, fabulous space. But, bit of a no-no. Look out the window. There's a train line. Now, that could be potentially a little bit noisy. I'm not sure how many times a day trains actually do pass there. But that's not really ideal. Bit of a shame.
I suppose in London you're never really far away from a train track, so you might just get used to it. If not, you may need to look at replacing these sash windows with double glazed units.
Get on the right track, baby. Get on the right track, baby. Get on the
Getting the rest of the flat back on track might be harder, with not just the damp, the electrics and general disorder to contend with. There's also its somewhat strange shape.
You've probably noticed the rooms in this flat are a little bit skew-width, and you can see why when I show you this plan. Now, as it's set on a curve in the road, it slants round, and this wall continues at an angle, creating an almost sort of triangular shape. Look, you can see along here. But it does make the flat feel bigger and a bit quirky, which I like. But some people might be put off by this, and it could be tricky fitting your furniture in against some of those slanted walls. But overall, I think it's a flat full of character.
So bearing all that in mind, let's have another look at the kitchen. If you kept the layout like this, you'd need to think about customising the units to fit, and that could be expensive. You could knock through the kitchen wall and make it an open plan kitchen lounge diner. Now that would certainly get rid of some of the odd angles. But what's the local estate agent's angle on this one?
I think a property in this condition will need approximately £20,000 to £25,000 in refurbishment. I'd look to do a kitchen and dining room and possibly a new bathroom. There is a possibility of loft extension in this property. You will look to remove part of the wardrobe in the hallway in order to get the stairway for the loft.
Some good ideas from the agent there. Of course, with anything structural like the loft, you'll need to check out who owns the freehold. This flat was guided at £210,000 plus, and a loft conversion could cost between £30,000 to £40,000. So would it be worth doing?
If this property was renovated as a two-bedroom flat, I would look to market the property at £310,000 with a view to getting offers in excess of £300,000. If this property was extended into loft, I would look to market the property at £350,000 in order to achieve offers in excess of £340,000.
And with rental returns around £1,300 a calendar month as a two-bed or £1,500 per calendar month as a three-bed, this flat could turn into a good investment.
Well, it might not be a standard shape, and that train line is definitely not ideal. But I really like this flat. It's a great size, and there's potential to improve it further. And it's in an area that is on the up. So let's see who agreed when we went to auction.
Lot 83 is, first of all, two-bedroom flat and need a modernisation. I'm looking for, let's say, something with a 2 in front to start. 200 upwards. 200, thank you. 200 I've got. 201 anywhere. 201, 202, 203, 204, 205, 206, 207, 208, 209, 210, 211.
And so there was quite a battle for the property, and we rejoined the bidding with the flat now at £245,000.
245. Back in again. 246. Good bid. 250. 251. No? With you. Bids £250,000. It's against you on my left. Anybody else? If not, 250 for the first, 250 for the second, 250 for the third and final time. We all done? Sold, 250.
And so for 250,000, the successful bidder for the two-bed first-floor Harlesden flat is Robbie. Robbie owns several rental investments in different parts of London and currently lives in one of the properties which he's yet to refurbish. I joined him back at the flat to find out more about his plans for his latest purchase.
Robbie, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Are you delighted with yourself for purchasing this flat at auction?
I am delighted. I'm very happy. It's a lovely place. Yeah, big, spacious.
So have you bought this for you or an investment?
I bought this for myself. I have a couple of other rental properties that are potentially to live in, but I had this in mind for myself because I, know this area reasonably well.
So what's your background? Have you always been a developer?
No, it's something I'm IT professional for 15 years.
Wow.
That's my college qualifications, my uni qualifications, and took redundancy, went travelling for 4 years, came back, and I had been lucky enough to get into property very early when I moved to London originally, so I was able to then sell a couple of bigger properties that I had, and and I'm able to invest those in 2 or 3 smaller places that I've got at the moment.
Robbie moved from his home in Northern Ireland to London in 1987 and quickly started property developing as a sideline. A pretty wise move considering the increase in London property prices.
What do you intend doing with it?
I want to put really nice floors in, want to do something with the kitchen and the lounge area to
like
bring...
what?
Well, not take maybe the whole wall down, but I'm thinking very much of opening the wall that's going into the reception at the moment, but at splashback level. So you've got worktops going up towards the window, and you'll have a sofa area in front of that and a nice big archway to sort of go into the kitchen area, something along those lines.
Pretty spectacular. You're looking sort of top end. It's going to be showy.
Very much. Well, especially if it's something that I'm going to be living in myself, I want to, you go to the bother of doing something for yourself, you may as well do it to a nice specification, make it somewhere nice to live. Yeah.
So with this property in particular, it smells of damp. You can see the damp. You can see a lot of the walls are wet. Did you get a damp survey done?
I didn't, no.
Oops.
You have a feel for a place, and damp from the... you're saying there's a lot of window problems. There's lots of areas in the windowsills, you've got a kind of west-facing, very open area, clearly a bit of damp coming in there. Easily fixed, I hope, and the roof, which I haven't actually had surveyed yet either. My builders are going to go in there and see whether or not, if there's anything substantial that needs to be done there.
One way to resolve that, you could just extend up into the roof and smash it all out and include another bedroom and bathroom. Have you thought about that?
I have thought about that, and I'm very keen to do it if I can do it.
Oh, that's really good news.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that will add a lot of value to this property.
Very much so, and it's a huge space up there.
So let's move on to the finances. What cash have you got to splash on this place?
I budgeted about 70,000 for it.
Okay, so does that £70,000 include the loft?
No, I wish it did. Normally, builders will talk in terms of 40-ish, 45,000 for a decent loft conversion. So I imagine we'd be kind of talking about adding that much to the budget for the build.
It's great that Robbie wants to make this an amazing flat, but I have to confess, I'm a bit worried. If Robbie goes the whole hog, he could be in for a total spend in the region of £365,000. Now, the agent reckoned a 3-bedroom flat here would only make £340,000. That's less 20 grand. So is this something that Robbie has considered?
Are you worried that you might be spending more than the flat will be worth at the end of the day?
No, I'm not, because I do genuinely believe, that a flat of this size in this area, done nicely, will be worth every penny of the purchase price plus the development costs. I also have, in my case, the extra relaxation of the fact that it will be my place at the end, somewhere for me to live in potentially, as opposed to something that I absolutely have to make an instant profit on.
So what's your time scale to do the work?
I'm hoping for 6 months. If there's a loft involved, and I really hope that there will be a loft involved, then it might even be slightly longer time scale than that because of planning permission and and you know, sort of maybe architect's drawings, etc.
Robbie, I can't wait to see what it's like when you've done it up. Well done. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Well, it sounds as if Robbie has got big plans to create a fantastic home here, but I do think he needs to keep an eye on the budget, as he could spend more than the flat will be worth at the end of it all. Will we return to see that loft conversion? Join me later in the programme and we can find out how he gets on.
Stanley in County Durham is a former colliery town with road links to Durham and Newcastle, which is about 25 minutes away. It does have a small town centre, new leisure facilities and some lovely countryside. I'm here to look at a lot which once upon a time was part of the local authority housing stock, and as you know, this is the kind of housing that always gives me a good feline.
Two-bedroom semi-detached had a guide price of £45,000. Garden could do with a bit of tidying up, but apart from that, looks all right. Well, fairly classic layout. Stairs up to your bedrooms there, and then through into your living room. Wow, you're certainly hit by the wallpaper the moment you walk in here. Brown, no, gotta go. As has the floor. I mean, it's serviceable, I suppose, but it's that. It just gives, again, the wrong impression. Nice flooring down here will definitely make all the difference in the world, even strip back the floorboards. But it's not a bad-sized room, as I always say when it comes to ex-local authority houses, real solid walls, you know, none of your stud partitions here. So through into the kitchen, and it's, surprise, surprise, a really nice size. Easily enough space, probably over there for a sort of table and chairs, or at least sort of breakfast bar idea. It's not in the best of conditions, these units, although probably pretty serviceable, and if you were renting this place out, you might consider leaving them. But I think for a small investment, you could definitely sparkle this place up. So, in terms of that, a little utility area there beyond me, and it is what it is, and I like it.
Bold wallpaper and underwhelming flooring aside, I think this has a lot going for it, and you could add value by replacing the kitchen. I reckon, given the semi's condition and position, it would be an ideal first-time buyer property. Hopefully the foliage is confined to the downstairs.
So up here, and well, the bathroom, well, that's exactly where you want it to be, top of the stairs, so to speak. It's all been knocked through into one. I imagine in the early days this would have been a separate bathroom and loo. That's good. It would definitely benefit from some tender loving care, though. Probably replace the suite with a white one, really modernise it, and you definitely get your money back in terms of what value you would add to the house. But 2 bedrooms, OK, in an ideal world, I guess it would be a 3-bedroom house, but I like the fact you've got 2 really good-sized bedrooms, one at the back there, one at the front here. Yeah, it's just a really good family home.
Again, there are some decoration issues. The carpeting needs replacing, and yes, there are flowery things going on up here too. But the one place I would have liked to have seen some is in the front garden, but there is a notable absence of any colour. Curb appeal totally missing here, I'm afraid. What about round the back?
Well, one of the bonuses of ex-local authority houses is that they often have really good-sized gardens, and that's certainly the case here. Now, it is a little bit overgrown, but what it is a really nice size, stretching all the way back to a greenhouse. Ah, bonus.
Now, I love a garden and a greenhouse, but as there is a dandelion or two, there is a bit of weeding to be done. This garden would not necessarily be a bonus if you were a landlord. Maintaining gardens can be a thorny issue with tenants. However, it's a good garden for a family, but then there's only 2 bedrooms. What does a local estate agent think of this lot?
First impressions of this property are that it's a fairly standard layout. It's very much what you would expect of a property of this type. Immediately you're struck by the size of the garden. A really good sized garden, plenty of potential for somebody to do something more with that. In the current market, there's actually a slightly limited appeal for 2-bedroom properties. We're tending to find, particularly as first time buyers are slightly older now, they may be at a different stage of life and they may be going straight for a 3-bedroom or even in some cases a 4-bedroom property. They may already have children or they may be thinking of starting a family fairly soon. Of course, a 2-bedroom property is limited in that respect.
Now that is an interesting point to consider. Demographics have a profound impact on the housing market. Nonetheless, this house does have an attractive guide price of £45,000. What does the agent think it could be worth?
I think if the property were done up to a good standard and put on the open market for resale, you'd be looking to achieve something hopefully in the region of £70,000 to £75,000. There's a fairly good demand for rental properties in the area. I would expect to achieve something in the region of £400 per calendar month.
So, who was up for a good, solid little house in need of a bit of modernisation at a really good guide price? Let's find out when it went under the hammer.
Semi-detached house, vacant, as you see it in your catalogues. What should we say for it? Do you want to bid me 50 for this? Cheap for the money. 50, somebody? Yes, thank you. 50, I bid. 51, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, at 55 and a half and in your place. 56, 56 and a half, 56 and a half and in your place. 57, 57 here, 57, 57 and a half, 57 and a half, 58, 58, 58 and a half. Sure, on my right then at £58,000 I bid. Yours at 58 once, 58 twice, third and final time, sells to you at £58,000.
The successful bidder was Noman, who is a property developer and a legal student living in London. So what has brought him to Stanley to buy this good little house for £58,000?
Noman, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah. Congratulations. Tell me why you wanted to buy this place.
I bought, before this, I bought another 2 properties.
Ooh.
One in Luton, one in Kettering. 3-4 days before auction, I called them to view some property in Liverpool, Manchester. They said all of them finished actually. They are no more viewing. And suddenly I called regarding this property, and they said, yeah, there is viewing tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock.
In terms of the country then, I mean, it seems like you're, well, happy to go anywhere. I mean, you've got properties in Kettering and where was the one you said?
Luton.
Luton?
Yeah.
You were looking at properties in Liverpool and Manchester?
That's right. I mean,
you ended up somewhere in the northeast. I mean, what is this like? Close your eyes, stick a pin in the map and I'll buy a property there.
I do some research as well before buying the property. I see the, sold price on the website, and when I come here, I call state agent as well. What's what I can achieve if I sell the property, or what's the standard? If I do some upgrading on the property, so then decide to buy that.
Noman also works in electricity and gas sales, so he travels around the country. This is on top of studying for his law degree, as well as having a wife and baby daughter. He's a busy man, and on top of all that, he'll do the work here. So what's the plan?
I'm going to keep as it is in this room.
What, it'll be in the wallpaper?
No, I'm going to paint or putting new wallpaper, but floor, it will be same as it is. It looks quite good, but I'm going to put some bit on the corner. And upstairs, I'm going to change the carpet, both the carpets. I'm planning to change whole the toilet, but I'm painting throughout, and changing the carpet, cleaning the garden front and back. That's what I'm going to do.
Noman is rightly cautious about any refurbishment costs. He did pay £13,000 over the guide price. Still, he plans to weigh up professional advice before deciding what to do next.
So is the idea then to rent it out?
I have 2 plans. Definitely I'm gonna put it back to the market for sale. That's actually, it's all depend on the circumstances really, how much money I can gain after doing the work. So I'll get some opinion, then I'll go ahead with the work actually. But put it back to the market, or if I can see that I can't achieve anything or what I expect, then maybe put it on rent.
Okay.
No Man will have to take on board the slow market in this area. His previous property experience was in London, which, as we all know, is its own phenomena. He made £60,000 in 8 months there.
What's the timescale for what you're planning?
Maybe a week. It's not much work anyway, so that's why I'm thinking to finish the work.
How much are you spending on it, do you think, budget-wise?
No more than 3,000. That's
Right,
max.
okay.
Between 2 and 3.
What do you think you might be able to sell it for?
There is a conflicting information actually. I mean, I called a local estate agent before I buy the property. They said 75 or 70, but I got second opinion. They're saying I can't achieve more than 60, 65. That's what they say. So
when did you get the second opinion? After you bought it?
Yeah, after I bought it. After I buy it. So I would say I'm expecting at least 75 or 70. Even I don't achieve anything. This is the very beginning. I want to be in the market for another 10, 12 years. So I don't mind even losing a couple of grand. It's just experience.
I can see that No Man is trying to curtail the spend and trying to protect his potential profit, but he might do better doing a bit more work to get this property up to scratch and looking into it as a long-term investment. But then No Man does have a lot on his plate, like his studies.
I just finished my second year exam.
Oh, well done.
I've got another year to do.
Right.
And then I would like to become a solicitor.
Oh, great.
So, still a long way to go.
Well, listen, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Good luck with it.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Well, it's certainly a minimalistic renovation that No Man has in mind for this place, but maybe that's not such a bad idea given that its value might not be as high as he had originally hoped. How will he get on? You can find out later in the show.
Still to come, there'll be plenty of work ahead for whoever buys a plot in Ramsgate, Kent, that can only be seen via a stepladder.
But in Stanley, County Durham, it looks like No Man was true to his word.
I'll spend $250, including everything.
First up, though, is Harlesden in northwest London, where this first floor, 2-bedroom split-level flat is very close to good transport links. Actually, I thought it was too close to the railway line. But that didn't put off Robbie, a retired systems analyst who paid $250,000 for it, intending to do a full refurbishment and move in himself.
It smells of damp. You can see the damp. You can see a lot of the walls are wet. Did you get a damp survey done?
I didn't, no.
Oops.
You have a feel for a place, and damp from the. We're saying there's a lot of window problems. There's lots of areas in the windowsills. You know, sort of you've got a kind of west-facing, very open area. Clearly, a bit of damp coming in there. Easily fixed, I hope, and the roof, which I haven't actually had surveyed yet either.
One way to resolve that, you could just extend up into the roof and smash it all out and include another bedroom and bathroom. Have you thought about that?
I have thought about that, and I'm very keen to do it if I can do it.
Robbie had grand plans for transforming the quirky-shaped rooms into a more attractive space.
And not take maybe the whole wall down, but I'm thinking very much of opening the wall that's going into the reception at the moment, but at splashback level. So you've got worktops going up towards the window, and you'll have a sofa area in front of that and a nice big archway to sort of go into the kitchen area. Something along those lines.
Pretty spectacular. You're looking sort of top end. It's going to be showy.
Very much.
Not including the loft conversion, Robbie had a timescale of 6 months. So, 6 months later, we're back to find out how showy he's made it. Everything certainly looks much fresher, with a coat of paint and new carpeting. But there's no loft conversion. The plan to knock the kitchen into the lounge hasn't materialised. And there appears to be just minor changes to the bathroom. So, what happened?
When I bought initially, I had a grand plan to do a big refurbishment downstairs, knock through this kind of kitchen area, make a bigger bathroom, do a complete refurbishment on the walls and on the floors.
But before starting major work, Robbie decided to purchase a share of the property's freehold, but he's had difficulty, so he's taking legal steps.
So I thought I would do just a very small refurbishment to allow me to move into the place, and live here while we go through the longer legal process to buy the freehold and do the whole job at one time.
Changes in legislation mean if qualifying leaseholders in the property want to buy a share of the freeholder is compelled by law to sell it to them. So, along with the downstairs tenant, Robbie is doing just that. Once completed, not only will they be able to get on with all the structural work, but he'll have raised the value of his property too. But this temporary setback hasn't halted all works.
I did some floor repairs, some window repairs, obviously painted and decorated and replastered some of the worst area of the walls. The kitchen, really very little other than putting in white goods, the bathroom, some tap changes, mixer changes and some new light fittings. Other than that, carpeting, soft furnishings. That's really all that's been done at this point.
It's only a trifle compared to his major plans, but there's no denying that what Robbie has done so far has made a once dingy old flat far more appealing. Robbie's only spent £9,000 of his development budget, so will the value of the property now reach the dizzying heights of the £300,000 valuation for a fully refurbished flat that was suggested when we first came to visit? Will buoyant London property prices outweigh the minimal renovation and still produce a profit? After all, Robbie has spent £259,000 on this property. We asked 2 local agents along to get their opinions.
If I was to value this property for sales, I would look to market the property at £379,950 to achieve offers in excess of £360,000.
If I was going to put this property on the market today, I would market it at a price of £360,000.
If Robbie could sell for £360,000, he'd make a potential profit of £101,000 minus fees and expenses.
Well, they're good positive figures. That's, it's a good indication that, that my gut feeling as to the purchase price at the auction was a good value price.
Yes, £100,000 profit in 6 months after a £9,000 renovation is a pretty amazing result in anyone's book. That's the London factor, and a rising market which isn't true in every area. But how does that affect the further more expensive refurbishment plans?
The agents seem to have suggested that most of the realisation in the property value, has effectively already happened with a fairly small refurbishment, and that the large refurb and loft conversion, you may not actually, get the money back that you put in. But I'm still quite keen to do the long-term refurbishment because I can see a beautiful space and a beautiful loft conversion in what is already a lovely flat.
Well, when it's your own home, it's not all about increasing value, it's also about being happy there. Speaking of which, what's happening about the damp problem?
The exterior problem that's causing the damp has not actually been resolved yet. I've got a roofer coming this afternoon to do the gutter repairs, so hopefully after that the walls will dry out and I won't any longer have a problem with that.
So with the damp problem and the legal issues regarding the freehold, it's been far from a straightforward journey. So has Robbie got any advice for future developers?
Don't do it. Don't do it. It's a nightmare.
Well, hopefully there'll be calmer waters in Ramsgate, Kent. It's a nice coastal town with a lovely marina, and it's connected to London by high-speed rail link.
15 minutes walk from the marina, and I'm here to see today's auction lot. Now, the houses along here are quite nice. The guide was set at just 8 to 10,000, so my expectations are at an all-time low. It's not this one. No, it's not this one round here, which is just an old derelict plot. Typical. It's this one. It's behind that wall, and sadly, I can't get into it today. Now, they always say it's advisable to buy the worst house on the street, but that is taking things a bit far. It's not even a house anymore. The footings are over there, but it's classed as land. Excitingly, the auction catalogue tells me it has potential. I'm going to investigate. Our view of the site is blocked by the high wall and the trees. From across the road, you can get a feel of its size and its position between another vacant site on the corner and St John's Ambulance Station. The lot is surrounded by houses and shops and small businesses, so that opens up a variety of possible options. There isn't any planning in place at the moment, hence the reason for that low guide. But imagine if you achieve planning permission to build a 3-bedroom house over there. It's in a residential area, the access is really good, and it's a large enough site to accommodate a house. But as we know, achieving planning permission is never ever a sure thing. Buying land with hope value is always a gamble. You could be left with an expensive parcel of land if things don't go your way. That's my concern. By the way, in case you haven't heard the phrase hope value before, that little bit of jargon in this particular case just means the bit of the market value that reflects the hope that the property has the possibility of being developed in some way that may just add value. But of course, it is just that, hope. As we should all know by now, nothing is certain in the world of planning regulation, so getting carried away by the very attractive guide price of 8 to 10,000 might prove to be a mistake. So picture the scene. The planning application has been granted, you've built your dream house, and you look out of your window to admire the view. Oh, it's not great, is it? Now, this will no doubt have a negative impact on the value of the house. I would make it my business to contact the council and ask if there's any plans to develop this site. You may find out they're thinking of building new houses here, or they've been given the go-ahead for a chicken factory. Oh no, that would be a nightmare. One thing's for sure though, you will need to do your homework before going to the auction. Of course, if the buyer of the auction lot actually wanted to build a chicken factory, again, some homework and weighing up the risks would be needed. Like, what are the council's plans for this area? And what kind of developments are they keen to encourage? Maybe explore if this other bit of land is for sale and make the plot and the potential bigger. It has to be said, plots of land with access and services are generally very sought after, especially with people who want to self-build. The self-build market accounts for about 7% of new houses in the UK. So what are the benefits? You get a bespoke house. It's roughly 30% cheaper than buying an existing property. It's tax-free, and if the plot costs less than £125,000, well, you can escape stamp duty. Perfect. Time to get some local gen from an estate agent. What does he think could be done with this plot, guided at 8 to 10,000?
It's a small plot, it'll be quite difficult to develop, but it is big enough to put a single unit on there. In an ideal world, you'd like to buy the extra land next to the site, perhaps build a couple of units on there, because without that, if you just built the site in isolation, it's going to be sat next to a St John's Ambulance Centre, plus, you know, a rundown derelict plot next door, so it's not going to be particularly attractive.
What kind of potential could this plot have?
Let's say you bought it for £15,000. If you could achieve planning on this site for perhaps a 900 square foot, 3-bedroom townhouse, realistically you're looking at a plot value of about £30,000.
That all-important planning permission could potentially double the value overnight. So how much could a new house be worth?
If you built a decent 3-bedroom townhouse on the site, it's going to have a small garden, it's not going to be a big plot, but really that end unit's going to be worth somewhere in the order of £180,000.
So plenty of potential profit, even allowing for the build costs of a new property. This is a risky purchase. Great if the planning goes your way. Not so great if it doesn't. Somebody thought it was a gamble worth taking, though. Let's find out who that was as we go to auction.
Land with potential close to the town centre. Cheap little lot here. Where are you going to start? 10,000 for it? £10,000, can I say? 10,000, can I say? Give me 8, get me on the way. £8,000 bid, I've got 10 I'm looking for. 10,000 on the phone. 10,000 on the phone, 11,000 if you like. It's in the room to be sold. Get one more. No, you know you'd make her really happy. 11,000 at the back. At £11,000 at the back, £12,000. 11.5 if you like, 12,000 in the door. 12.5 if you wish now, 12.5 and 13.5, 13.5, 14, at 14.5. I've got it at 14.5, now 15. We all done at 14.5, 15 anywhere else? It's that number there for the first time, 14.5 for the second time, third and final time at 14,500. Your bit of land, sir.
Grabbing that bit of land for £14,500 was Andy, here on the left, and his friend and business partner, Ben. Andy is an accountant based in London, and Ben is a construction site manager who is a local lad. Accountant and a site manager. Sounds like a dream team when it comes to property development. I met up with them to find out why they were willing to risk buying this plot of land.
Guys, congratulations. Happy with the price you paid on auction day?
Yeah, I'd say so. Fairly happy with it, so it didn't go over our budget, so yeah, happy.
So, Andy, what was your top limit?
£500 more, 15,000.
Really?
So it was right on the edge, yeah.
So do you feel you've got yourselves a bargain here?
Well, potentially, yeah.
Yeah, well, hopefully. Everything seems to be indicating that, so yeah, I'm happy with it all so far.
So why does it appeal to you?
Because it's big enough to put one house on, so with the price we paid for it, we're not going to lose money on what we've bought, and potentially we're looking to buy the 2 plots at the front of it as well. We've made an offer on the corner one, so we're waiting to have acceptance on that. If we do get all 3, then there's scope to do something much bigger on it.
So the land next to their purchase is actually 2 plots and not 1. Andy and Ben are aiming high here. Getting the other parcels of land could mean they have this wrapped up with potentially higher returns. But without the permissions, an even higher risk.
Do you think you will get planning permission for that?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. If you look around the surrounding area, it's run down, and there's a need for housing in Thanet at the moment. That's a disused space, so I don't see there being any issues with it. If we get outline agreed in principle for that as well, it will help us with the other 2 if we do get that.
Hang on, they haven't even bought the land yet. These guys are in a hurry, and the risks keep piling up.
So, Ben, have you even walked around on the plot?
No, I've had a look over the wall off a ladder, that's about it, and seen it on an ordnance survey map so I can see the size of it. But that's as far as it's gone, to be honest. So I don't even think you can get into the plot at the moment.
They're confident for sure, and given their professions, why shouldn't they be?
So how are you going to make it work as a team? I mean, who's going to be on this, over this, talking to the builders, the planners? Who's going to be doing that side of it?
Run the job. Well, I'll project manage and run the job from down here while Andy's in London, and he'll deal with anything that's financial, i.e. any payments, material purchase, everything like that. So we're kind of trying to get him into construction-minded thinking rather than just figures.
Well, that's... Right, OK, did you hear that?
I need that.
It's come from the horse's mouth.
Yep, he's already training me already.
They make it sound so easy, but there are a lot of issues to tackle. They definitely aim to build 1 townhouse on the site they bought and have it completed in 6 months. They hope to buy the rest of the land here for around 50,000. It's a case of literally watch this space, or rather, these spaces.
My worry is, Andy, that you'll build a beautiful townhouse and it'll be overlooking a very ugly, derelict plot of land. What happens then?
Well, in Ramsgate at present, there's a big drive for regeneration, so as far as they're concerned, the council do actually want to see that space used, developed and made look, you know, fairly pretty, to be honest with you. Either we have the opportunity to snap it up, or someone else is going to come along and develop it themselves.
Do you think that you will buy the other plots of land?
No, I do believe so. I think we currently made an offer on the corner plot, which hopefully over the next couple of days we'll find out whether it gets accepted. If that's the case, that's great. The other plot of land, it's a bit more tricky. There's going to be a lot more kind of politics behind it, and I think, to be honest with you, that's going to be something we're going to have to work with the council on. But if that's the case, I think we're in a position of pretty much strength then we can then push it forward and pretty much purchase that.
What sort of budget have you got to build your townhouse?
I think we'll do it for under 75 grand.
And have you got any ideas of what it's going to look like and how much space it's going to have?
I mean, well, the space it's going to have is the space that the land offers, as simple as that, and what it's going to look like is just totally dependent on the council. We're not building it for ourselves, so whatever they'll pass quickly, we'll build for them.
So how many houses in total would you like to build on the plots if you get all 3 of them?
Ideally, I think we'd like to go for 4. I think that's the kind of maximum that we're looking.
Worst case scenario, you don't get permission, you don't build anything. What are you going to do with that plot?
Flatten it, turf it, and have a lovely summer garden.
Have a nice picnic.
Yeah.
Good luck with this. I can't wait to see what happens and what the outcome is.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Andy.
Cheers.
Ben,
Thank you very much.
Andy and Ben certainly have their work cut out with this, their first project. Will they achieve the planning? Will they purchase the derelict plot of land next door? And will we come back to 1 house or 3 or 4 houses? Will they be left with an expensive parcel of land that they can't do anything with? So many variables. You can find out how the boys get on later in the programme. So there you have it, Martin. 1 property done and dusted. Let's see what happened to the others.
Yes, it's a while since we visited. Let's go back.
First up, it's Stanley in County Durham. Earlier, we met Noman, a property developer, legal student and electrical and gas salesman. He bought this tired semi for £13,000 over the guide price. However, he didn't intend spending very much more on it. He was already juggling several careers and lots of properties, as well as studying. But even then, it seemed distance was no object for Noman.
In terms of the country then, I mean, it seems like you're, well, happy to go anywhere. I mean, you've got properties in Kettering and where was the one you said?
Luton.
Luton?
Yeah.
You were looking at properties in Liverpool and Manchester.
That's right. I mean,
you want to do it somewhere in the northeast.
2 months later, we're back to find out if Noman changed his mind about doing the bare minimum. And from the outside, that looks like a no. The only difference in the garden is that the weeds might be a bit shorter, so no points for added curb appeal. Perhaps inside will be better? Well, there hasn't been much in the way of changes that I can see. Noman has been focusing on 2 other properties that he owns. So how much time has he spent on this property?
It didn't take me that long and I finished it literally even not 1 day.
What a difference a day made. 24 little hours.
You heard him right. 1 day. And from what I can see, it's not a day that's made much of a difference. Could that be Homes Under the Hammer's shortest refurbishment? Quite possibly. Noman did a little research once he'd bought the property, and he came to the conclusion that having spent so much over the guide price, he could lose money if he spent too much. So he's kept with the plan to do the bare minimum. Instead of lifting up those carpets upstairs, Noman chose to clean them, and he decided to do some work in the bathroom.
This is the place where I've done most work actually. Painted the ceiling and put new flooring and put some silicone wherever necessary.
So Noman has added this new seal and new flooring. 1 day, minimal refurb. How much did it cost?
When I decided to upgrade the property, I had in my mind that I will spend about £1,000, but I didn't spend that much actually. I spent I think £250, including everything.
That's £250. The shortest refurbishment and certainly one of the cheapest I've seen. And yes, Noman did have some work done on the garden. The only thing that he didn't do himself. The greenhouse has gone and the back lawn has been cut, but already needs another trim. Noman is hoping to sell this property on, but I'm certainly concerned he's not done enough to make this house more appealing. Two estate agents have come along to give us their thoughts.
This is my first time in the property. After I've had a look around, I think it's quite a basic refurbishment. I don't think he's done too much to it, just perhaps a bit of painting on the walls, and that's about it. If it was myself, I would have potentially done a bit more of a refurbishment to the property, sort of painted it throughout, maybe looked at putting in some new flooring, and I think I would have tidied up the garden as well.
I think the standard of the work that's being carried out on this property is, it could have been done to a better standard.
No man held back from doing any significant work in order to protect his investment of £58,250. What could this house achieve on the open market?
In its current condition, I'd be looking to place this property on the market at around £60,000.
I think if the owner was to place the property on the current market, I think he could achieve offers in the region of 60 to 65,000.
Yeah, 65, that's not bad actually. I mean, at least I'm not gonna lose any money. So I'll be happy if I would be able to achieve even the lower one as well. But if I would achieve higher one, that's pretty much good.
That highest valuation of £65,000 would give him a profit of £6,750 without factoring in taxes, fees or expenses. What about rental? Would that be a better option?
The rental value of this property would be £400 per calendar month.
I think if the owner was to put this property on the rental market, I think he could achieve possibly £400 to £450 per calendar month. If I was the owner of this property, I would have spent a bit more money on the property, bringing it up to a higher standard. I would have put it on the rental market for at least 6 to 12 months until the market picks up.
The consensus is that changes were needed here to make this house more marketable. The agents who first came to see it thought it could have resold for £70,000 to £75,000 if renovated. Anyway, maybe the change that is needed now is a change in the plan. Rental instead of selling on? Those figures would give him a really healthy 9% yield. Is he tempted?
Yeah, if I would put it on the rental market, might be all right because, after paying mortgage and all other expenses, I think that should be okay. But, I don't have any plan to put it on the rental market.
No man will have to think about agents' fees and other expenses, as well as taxes. If he only got the lower valuation, a loss could be on the cards. He did only spend a day on this project, but his time is scarce. He's a busy man with studies, a sales job, and his property interests. How does he feel about this one now?
I mean, I learned a lot from this property actually, from this project actually, though I'm running some other project, and I sold already 2 properties and I got some profit from that, but from my experience, from very short research from this property, I think I'm going to lose money from here. So in future it will really help me to go ahead with my business, and I can apply this experience for my future investment.
And neither were the adjacent sites. However, accountant Andy and builder Ben had a plan.
It's big enough to put one house on, so with the price we paid for it, we're not going to lose money on what we've bought.
But this ambitious duo weren't content with planning to build one house. Oh no, the guys also had their eye on next door.
We're looking to buy the 2 plots at the front of it as well. We've made an offer on the corner one, so we're waiting to have acceptance on that. If we do get all 3, then there's scope to do something much bigger on it.
Ideally, I think we'd like to go for 4. I think that's the kind of maximum that we're looking.
Do you think you will get planning permission for that?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. If you look around the surrounding area, it's run down, and there's a need for housing in Thanet at the moment. That's a disused space, so I don't see there being any issues with it.
Now, I've heard of counting chickens before they've hatched, But these guys were counting them before the eggs had even been laid. They were hopeful that a deal for the other 2 pockets of land could be struck quickly. Assuming no problems arose with planning, they were confident that the development could be complete within 6 months. A tad optimistic. Well, as it turned out, extremely optimistic. Fast forward not 1, not 2, not 3, but almost 4 years. There are now 2 very smart townhouses sitting side by side. On the original plot bought at auction sits this lovely 2-storey house. And on the plot bought later on, there's a fantastic 3-storey townhouse. The other plot remains undeveloped.
Basically, the back plot with the 2-storey unit we bought at auction, and then after we came down and looked at the site, there were 2 other plots at the front of the site. So we pursued both of them, bought the one that we're in now, which was a plot big enough for 1 3-storey unit from real estate, and pursued the other one, and obviously wasn't so lucky with that one, so kind of started the build with the 2.
Not only did the land purchase cause delays, but the planning consent also proved to be a long, drawn-out process.
It was a bit more problematic than we first anticipated because we're in a conservation area. The big 3-storey house at the front, fronting the High Street approach, so conservation had quite a lot to do with it. We had to resubmit the plans quite a few times, and eventually it panned out economically, so we started.
Oh dear, this just reinforces that you can't assume anything when it comes to planning. Just because an area looks neglected doesn't mean planners will let you do what you like. And in fact, maybe a good question to have asked was why have the plots remained undeveloped for so long? Delays aside, the actual building process has taken only 5 months and the results are impressive. Let's take a closer look inside. The layouts in both houses are simple and functional. The living room and kitchen are on the ground floor, with the addition of a small loo positioned under the stairs, always handy to have. The kitchens have French doors that open out onto the garden space. In the 2-storey house, the first floor contains 2 double bedrooms and a family bathroom. The 3-storey house can afford a large first-floor bedroom and a bigger bathroom, plus a roomy storage area on the landing. A further 2 bedrooms are on the 2nd floor with a wet room in between. Both houses are fitted out with high-spec kitchens, wood-effect flooring and worktops complement the white units and tiling. Equally well-furnished are the bathrooms. But it's not all conformity. There's an interesting contrast of glazing units, white in the 3-storey house and these rather natty black framed windows in the 2-storey. Now that the job's complete, how does Ben feel about the development?
I think they look really nice from the outside and they fit well and flow well. The inside's really nice as well, but we've had a lot of support from the locals and residents living around here saying how lovely the scheme looks and how pleased they are that we've done it.
The original budget was all dependent on what land they managed to get. Andy and Ben bought the plot at auction for £14,500 and then bought another plot, bringing their land buying total to £50,000. They've built 2 lovely houses with a combined build cost coming in at £170,000. All in, they spent £220,000. However, they say time is money and this project has been 3 years and 9 months in the making. Has it all been worth it? We asked 2 local property experts to come along and appraise the value of these 2 houses.
I really like the standard of the finish on both the properties. It's a very high spec for this particular area. It's a finish you'd expect to see maybe on a higher end property.
The properties will appeal to people like first-time buyers who want to live here, or they'd be ideal for the rental market. they'd rent out very well.
Unanimous approval there. The estate agents were also of one mind when it came to valuation. They felt the two-bedroom house would be worth around £150,000 and the three-bedroom could achieve £165,000. But Ben, well, he's one step ahead.
I think they're in the process of being sold for around about 300,000 combined value, but Andy's got the figures, I don't have them with me today, and knows more about that.
So if that sale goes through, there's an £80,000 profit from this two-house project, minus the usual fees and taxes. Does Ben have any final advice to share from this experience?
Yeah, investigate the local planning law and conservation and things like that. It was quite a hindrance, obviously not being able to do them straight away when we bought them. We thought it'd be, always knew there'd be a 12-week planning lead on it, but 2-3 years is a lot longer than 12 weeks.
Well, we've seen lots of hard work and determination in today's properties.
Yes, but for some buyers, the hard work is only just beginning. Join us next time for more properties from the auctions here on Homes Under the Hammer.
See you then.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
This afternoon on BBC One, Escape to the Country heads to Wiltshire at 3. At 3:45, Len Goodman and Ainsley Harriott take a trip to Blackpool for a holiday of my lifetime. Then at 4:30, the experts are off to a car boot sale in Buckinghamshire. Put your money where your mouth is. Next up, call the council.
There are very good, solid scientific reasons for being really quite frightened just now.
Doctor Who, Saturday at 8:20 on BBC One.